I used to enjoy watching the nightly news at 5:30 p.m. each night. But lately, and this has been an ever-growing problem for many years now, the news has been bad. The old news editor adage of, if it bleeds, it leads, has the whole newscast now filled with the horrible, bloody events that happen here and around the world. The national news has gotten so unpleasant and depressing to watch, with mass killings, assassinations, ongoing sexual scandals, famine, war, that I have lost any interest in watching. But shutting down the messenger doesn't stop reality. Horrible events will keep coming whether I'm aware of them or not. It's tempting to despair and demand that life shouldn't be this way. And since we are those who follow Jesus, shouldn't He be doing something about all the outrageous and heartbreaking events that fill the news each day? I'm not the first person to suggest that God should get up and do something. In fact, the Old Testament prophet Habakkuk wrote his entire book with the same complaint. Just listen to chapter 1 and ask yourself if this could not have been written today. He wrote, "How long, Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen, or cry out to you, violence, but you do not save? Why do you make me look at injustice? Why do you tolerate wrongdoing? Destruction and violence are before me. There is strife and conflict abounds. Therefore the law is paralyzed, and justice never prevails. The wicked hem in the righteous, so that justice is perverted." The Lord answered Habakkuk in the next chapter, saying, "It's only going to get worse. Yeah, it's bad now, but soon the Babylonians will come and they will make life so much worse." The book of Habakkuk is much like the book of Job in that it deals with bad times and what one is to do during them. And the first hard reality that we need to come to grips with is that life is not on an upward trajectory in which the good times will never stop, where the next generation will always be better off than the previous, where society is progressing ever upward and onward to be more civil and prosperous. No, what we learn from God is that good times are not the norm, and why we live on this earth, so don't count on it or expect it, and certainly don't demand it. But secondly, and more importantly, even in disaster, even with a growing evil in society, God is with us and is providing a way to face the day no matter how bad. And so our way forward, as taught to us in Habakkuk and many in the Psalms and Job, is that to wait on the Lord. That's what God told the prophet, saying in chapter 2. This is his answer to Habakkuk. He said, "Write down the revelation I'm about ready to give you. Make it plain on tablets so that a herald may run with it. For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." God's answer to Habakkuk and to us is to wait on Him. Though it linger, wait for it. Pastor Tim Keller, in a sermon that he preached on this book, detailed how one waits on the Lord. And the first is to wait on the Lord patiently. When nothing makes sense and you are confused and perplexed, instead of giving up or blowing up, wait on the Lord patiently. Patience is a deliberate act of humility. Here's what I mean. When life is hard and you have big feelings of anxiety and dread and anger and despair, These big feelings come from a demand inside of you that just knows how the events of life are to go. Not like this. Oh, this is awful. This shouldn't have happened. And the events may have been dreadful, but you don't know how history is to play out. You don't know, but God does. And that's why there's a need for this God-given humility. Waiting on the Lord requires patient humility that acknowledges, I'm not God. I don't know how all of the events of the world work into His plan. But I've been told to wait on Him and that His plan will unfold in time. And so I will wait, and while I wait, I will trust in Him. And so waiting on the Lord requires patient humility, but also perspective. That's why Habakkuk, in chapter 2, climbed into the rampart or the city tower to wait on the Lord. From that vantage point, he could see more of what was coming. St. Paul talks about this new vantage point in Romans chapter 8, where he said, I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. Now, the Greek word that Paul used for consider is the same as saying, hey, I did the math. Yeah, life is bad, but from the perspective of what is coming, this is all very small and very manageable. And keep in mind, Paul lived in a really hard time, and there was persecution. And finally, waiting on the Lord with the perspective of James chapter 1, where James wrote, Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. So, how does one get through these days that seem so dark, divided, angry, and on a downhill slide? We get through the same way that God's people have always gotten through, and that's with humility that, well, I don't know what the future will bring in this world, but I do know the one on whom I wait. He has sent His one and only Son into the darkness and the evil of this world and was not overcome, even though it appeared to all of the rest of the world that death had taken Him on a cross. Though His answer lingered for 3 days as Jesus remained in the tomb, Jesus rose on Sunday morning, not to make improvements to the course of this world so that each generation has it a little better than the last, but rather to take us who live in the land of death and evil and darkness with Him into life that can never end. The good news that will never make the evening news is that Jesus Christ has in truth and in reality risen from the dead. And because He lives, so shall you. No matter the current events that plague us, no matter the economic downturns, wars, famines, and societal ills, a day is coming when our Lord Jesus will return and renew all things, not improve them, but recreate them perfect, so that never again will death and tears stain our memories and ruin our lives in the present. And now, yes, even now, in the darkness, His light shines, and you, yes, even you are that light. Goodness, love, mercy, self-control, obedience that is breaking into this world, for Jesus reigns in your heart and in your life. So He is bringing His renewed creation in a small way, even before He comes again, through you. This is God's answer to all that is wrong, and you are part of the answer.